In university, I was interested in philosophy, but then I took a philosophy course. I wasn't too interested in philosophy after I took that course. And I studied arts and things like that. And I was interested in meditation, but I couldn't find any good place to meditate at. And I went to the TM people, made an appointment with them, somehow it didn't work out, so I didn't get any TM mantra. And I graduated from university, and then I went to Japan. I was more or less on holiday for a year. Then I met the devotees, several devotees on the Ginza, dressed very strangely, and then we're distributing Back to Godhead magazines, which was a very, I say, primitive work at that time. So I took a copy, and they invited me to the temple in Tokyo. So eventually I went to that place. I found it with a friend. It was a rather obscure address, and it was a very small place, about as big as the little corner over there, maybe, about 8 feet by 10 feet. That was their temple room. And they lived next to it in another room about the same size. And that was they used to have a Sunday program there. That was Sudama and his wife and one other devotee there. So I used to go to the Sunday programs, and they would serve sweet rice and halava and a few other things which I couldn't remember. And they had some small Jagannath deities. So I would come to the kirtan every weekend. I don't remember much about lectures or anything, but they had kirtan. And there was also some young Japanese, mainly hippies, attending the program. So I used to come to that quite regularly for the kirtan. And then that was about for 6 months, I guess. I met them in January. And in August, Prabhupada was supposed to come there on his way to India. He was talking to Dynapon at that time about publishing books. And I think he published the Krishna book then through them. And he wanted to publish other books through them because it was cheaper in Japan. So he came to talk to them. And he came with some sannyasis like Kirtan Ananda and who else? Madhavisa and Tamal Krishna and Devananda and Kartikeya and a few others. About 6 people came with him. So I went to the airport when Prabhupada came, and I just met Prabhupada then, which was very short because I couldn't see him too closely. And then the next time I saw him, well, several times. Well, I met him personally. Sudama brought me to meet him personally once in his little house. And then another time was at the famous Vyasa Puja ceremony. They had because Prabhupada came and they celebrated Jamastami there one night. I didn't know about it. Next day I came and they celebrated Vyasa Puja. So we all came in the room, and we were doing kirtan, and Prabhupada was sitting in the Vyasa's son, but he didn't look very happy. And everyone was doing kirtan and everything like that. And then the kirtan stopped, and then Prabhupada gave a little lecture, and he says, if this is not the way you celebrate Vyasa Puja, and if you want to know, you should ask. If you don't do it correctly, you shouldn't concoct anything. So like this, and then Sudama was crying. And I didn't actually know what was happening. It was a little bit strange. But anyway, they actually didn't do things properly because they didn't offer flowers, and I think we ate the feast before Prabhupada came in or something like that, so everything was reversed. So then Prabhupada had them do the whole ceremony again next day. I didn't come for that, however. Anyway, in the meantime, then Prabhupada invited me to come to India with him. I wasn't a devotee at the time. I was chanting 16 rounds, and coming to the temple. So then Prabhupada asked Sudama if I'd like to come to India with them. So then I said yes. I hadn't really planned anything out because I hadn't actually determined what I would do after university at that time. So then I came to India with Prabhupada. And then after that I stayed with Prabhupada in India when he went around to different places. And sometimes I met him, sometimes we were alone. We were maybe a week or two in Calcutta. And then Prabhupada left and he went to Bombay. Then we met him in Bombay, then we traveled different places. Sometimes I was there, sometimes I wasn't there. And then eventually I went back to Japan after about 6 months or so. Maybe a little longer, 8 months or so. I went back to Japan because Sudama needed people. And of course I continued there for several years. I think about 5 years, 6, 7 years. And so that's how I began Krishna consciousness.